2nd of May, and our session would center around how to secure roles in the UK civil service. Okay, that's what our session would center around, and would also get into a little bit of practical. Would go to the job portal, would look at jobs available, and what are the most important factors to helping you land that job. I'll break it down for you today. For those of you looking to land a job in 2026, you've been applying to jobs, but you really just haven't, you've never gotten a response. You are always ghosted, and I'll show you exactly what to do. All right. Good evening, Flora. Before we get started, I'd like to know where you are joining us from. So just type into the chat if you're joining from Doncaster, you're joining from Edinburgh, from Glasgow, from Leeds. Type into the chat. I'd like to know where you are joining us from today. Flora, where are you joining us from? Type into the chat. And I'd like to know where you are joining us from. I'm currently joining you. Oh, Dundee, Alex, Marie is joining from London, Flora from Port Harcourt. Good to have you here today. Let's keep the chats busy. Cornwall, Mary or May, I beg your pardon. Liverpool, Ibironke, Norwich, HP. Now, if you have a friend, you have a family member, you know somebody that can benefit from this session today, share the message with them, copy the link, share the link with them, and get them into this session. Now, it doesn't matter where you are. Today's session would show you the principles, the guiding principles that would ensure that when you apply to a job, you actually get a response and a feedback from that potential employer. Okay, so even though it would center majorly around the UK, you'd also have the opportunity to pick one or two amazing insights that you start to implement today. Okay, so let's dive into the main meat of our session. So, how to secure tech roles in the UK civil service. And I'd also show you specific roles you need to take note of. But why are we here today? We have different categories of people in this session. For some of you, you have the stability, you want stability. The UK civil service comes with job stability, job security. You want that and you want to land that job, but you don't know what to do. You are not sure where to start. You've applied to jobs just like so many people have said, but you're not getting any positive feedback. How do you get that job with the civil service where you can rest assured that your job is secure, except something drastic happens? Okay. We have some of you who are thinking of switching your jobs today. You are currently in a career path that you don't want to be in. You are in retail, you are probably doing customer service, you are in care, you are doing something you don't want to do. You want to switch into a career path that is more progressive, that would give you the opportunity to work remotely, and you are wondering, is the civil service the entry point for me? Can I actually land jobs within the UK civil service? And for some of you, you're already actively applying to jobs, to civil service roles, but you keep on getting rejections upon rejections with no specific feedback, just the generic feedback. All right. And you're confused. You don't know what you are doing wrong. So I'll show you some of the things you are probably doing wrong today and how you can start making adjustments and seeing results immediately. And for some of you, you are just trying to understand where to focus your energy. Should I just apply to private jobs, jobs within the private sector, jobs in the NHS, or do I need to apply to jobs in the civil service? Okay, so we have different categories of people, but today I'll be showing you three very important things. Number one is what the UK civil service wants from you. Do they want you for your skills, for your experience? Do they want you for your cultural fit? What exactly do they want from you before they decide to hire you? Secondly, I'll show you how to give the civil service exactly what they want. Because if an employer wants ABC from you, how do you give them ABC or even a little bit more to ensure that you get that job? I'll show you exactly what to do. And finally, I'd also show you how to start your journey today. If you want to land a job with the civil service before the end of 2026, how do you start? Of course, time is already running out because we're already in May, the fifth month of the year. So you have 6 months, about 6 to 7 months before the end of the year. Okay. So how do you start your journey today to landing a job before the end of 2026? I'll show you exactly what you need to do. But before we dive into our session proper, I'll do a little bit of introduction. For those of you meeting Tenalytics for the first time, Tenalytics is a leading educational technology company, and we focus on helping people like you land high-paying jobs within the tech ecosystem. We operate out of Alberta in Canada and also London in the UK. And over the last 5 years, we've been able to help over 4,000 people with no prior experience, no prior knowledge, no background within the tech ecosystem. And we've helped them transition to land jobs as data analysts. Nurses have become pathology data analysts. Customer service professionals have become business architects. Accountants are project managers, and so on and so forth. We have over 182 full-time employees that the mission for them is to help you land a high-paying job. These are part of your support system, including over 300 industry experts that would also work with you to ensure you have a smooth sailing journey. And we focus on areas within data analytics, health tech, including healthcare data analytics, healthcare business analysis, healthcare project management, data engineering, data science, cybersecurity, DevOps engineering, and so many other areas within the tech ecosystem. And a little bit about myself. I was just like you a few years ago. About a decade ago, I had no experience. My first degree was in industrial chemistry. I was confused. I didn't know the career path to move into. I did everything that came my way. I once taught as a teacher, as a private tutor. During my NYSC back in Nigeria, I also taught in the high school chemistry and physics. Okay. So I had no background. I had no knowledge in technology. But what did I do? My first degree out of the university was as a management consult, my first job out of the university was as a management consultant, and I studied industrial chemistry. But what did I do? I decided to pivot into the tech ecosystem because I really just couldn't get a job where I was fulfilled. I worked as a management consultant, and when I looked at the maximum I could go in terms of my career growth, there was a limit to how far I could go and how much I could earn. And of course, at that time, data analytics was something that was, quite interesting to me. It was also all over the place. A lot of people were moving into data analytics, and I decided to also move into data analytics. This was me with an industrial chemistry background from the university and as a management consultant, but I was able to transition. Fast forward 13 years later, I'm the founder of Tenalytics, the co-founder of Amdari, and I've helped over 4,000 people also make the same transition just like I did about 13 years ago. I currently work as a data analytics and engineering contractor in Canada. I've worked in the UK as a data science consultant, as a customer insights analyst. I've worked in the UK. I've worked remotely for companies in the US back when I was in Nigeria. I've worked with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa as a management information systems analyst, as a data analyst. I've worked with FITC, owned by the Bankers Committee and the Central Bank of Nigeria, as a data analytics consultant. And my experience spans across 5 sectors, from energy to financial services, educational technology, sports, and financial services, where I actually started my journey. So if you are confused today, if you think you've never done anything technology, computer science, I was like you. I was once like you. And if I could do it, and over 4,000 plus other people could do it, then you can also do the same. And I'll show you exactly what you need to do. How did I transition and how can you also make the same transition? All right. Now, why does this session matter today? Why the civil service? The reason is very simple. The civil service offers one of the safest job security in the world. Okay, especially in the UK. Is one of the safest places to get a job. It's the once the job comes, it is also very stable. You hardly lose the job. It's difficult to get in, but once you do the right things, and I won't say it's difficult, but it's quite, you need to do the right things to get in. So the process is meticulous, but if you follow the process, you would get in. And once you get in, you have job stability, you have a structured job progression, the pay is reasonably good. And of course, you also know how to move across the different levels from how you got in to where you're likely going to be in the next 5 years, the next 2 years, and so on and so forth. But something people don't say enough is the fact that if you don't position yourself properly, getting into the UK civil service would be one of the most difficult things and frustrating process for you. All right. So that's why we are having this session today. How do you follow a meticulous process? What do you take note of when applying to the UK civil service? And how do you land the jobs within the space? Okay. The UK civil service, as at today, 2026, hires over 500,000 employees coordinated by the Prime Minister's office, over 500,000 employees. And the roles, when a role is available in the civil service, they usually don't just want to hire one person. Okay. You'd see 45 openings for a single role. So let's say you have a data quality officer role, quality officer. Usually they want to hire like 45, 40, 30 people. So you don't find the civil service hiring one person, two people, three people for a particular role, especially roles that are mid-level and entry-level roles. Okay, so the opportunities are immense. How do you take advantage of these opportunities? And people have asked me the question so many times, oh, Adeza, can I get sponsorship when I land a job with the civil service? Most civil service roles do not offer sponsorship. Okay, most of them don't. Some of them do. But the civil service is a good place for you to start your journey. You get in, you gain work experience. It's easier for you to land a job that comes with sponsorship, especially with other government agencies like the NHS, for example, the public sector, space. It's easier for you to get in if you already have work experience with the civil service. All right. So these are some of the things that makes the civil service attractive, not just to people that, are citizens or have permanent residencies, but also to graduates. You're on your post-study visa, you are a dependent in the UK, you can land jobs within the civil service. All right. And having said that, the civil service operates differently from the way the private companies would hire. When they hire based on policies. The government wants to implement new policies, for example, they hire based on that. About 20 years ago, HMRC, digitalized a lot of their processes, especially taxes and so on and so forth. And because of that, they needed to hire a lot of technology professionals, data analysts, data officers, financial investigators, and so on and so forth. Okay, so a lot of the hiring are based on government policies and they're also very structured. And based on that, the UK civil service would usually restrict hiring to specific type of candidates. Number one, candidates that are UK citizens. Okay, you are British, you are a UK citizen, you can easily apply to jobs within the UK civil service. Or You have the right to work without restrictions. The right to work without restrictions. So you have your ILR, indefinite leave to remain. If you don't have that, you have something like your post-study visa. You are the, global talent visa, for example. These are different situations that gives you the right to work without restrictions. As long as you have the right to work without restrictions, you can land a job with the civil service. You don't have to be a UK citizen. You don't need to have just the ILR. Okay. So now that we know this, and if you are a dependent here on the call today, you are a student who have just graduated or recently graduated or about to graduate, this is a time to start preparing for when you apply for your post-study visa and you have no restriction to the number of hours you can work and so on and so forth. Okay. And typically, a lot of people get rejected because they don't know the different job grades, the grade levels within the civil service. So they see a role available and they start applying without understanding properly if they actually qualify. Or, sir, I'm just going to mute everybody so that we don't have any distraction again. Okay. And please, if you are not speaking, please ensure that you are also muted. Okay. So I've seen people tell me that, oh, I get rejected all the time when I apply to civil service roles. And I ask them, do you check the grade level? And they look surprised. Oh, what are the different grade levels? Which one should I consider? Which one would likely get me the job a lot faster? Some people don't check. Okay. So I'll share some of the grade levels with you. And we're also going to have a practical session where we'll go to the job portal, the civil service job portal, and we'll see some of the jobs they have available and how you can start looking at the requirements, what you need to take note of before you eventually decide to put in your application. So some of the grade levels you'd see, the entry level roles, for example, you'd see the administrative assistants and the administrative officers. These are the basic entry level roles. Okay. And for anybody who wants to, land a proper job, you have experience. Maybe you've done something else in the past. You've worked in the bank back in your home country, or you're currently in the UK. You are doing something. You have 5 years experience, 2 years experience, 3 years experience. You probably don't want to start from this level. So these are entry level roles, the most basic roles, and you don't want to get in applying here. So if you apply to roles like this, you'd probably be overqualified. For somebody who's completed a 10 analytics program, for example, if you apply to, an AA or AO role, you'd likely be overqualified for that role. Okay. And you don't want to be overqualified. And that's one of the reasons why you get rejected. Now you have the executive officers and the higher executive officers, the EOs and the HEOs. These are junior to mid-level roles. These are roles where you'd see job titles like the data analyst, the business analyst, the project managers, and so on and so forth, the data officers, data quality officers, and roles like that. These are the type of jobs you want to consider. So by the end of today's session and all the things I'll walk you through, you can start applying to jobs from here. EOs and HEOs, most especially HEOs, the higher executive officer roles. Okay. Because these are roles you can get with some experience. You have 2 years experience, you have just a year experience, or you have a very strong project portfolio. Okay. Strong project portfolios would get you jobs like this. And I'll show you people that have gotten these jobs and exactly what they did to get these jobs. All right. So that's the next role, the EOs, executive officers, the higher executive officers, and then you have the senior executive officers. Now, these are senior level roles. You'd see the senior data analysts, principal business analysts, team leads, technical specialists, and these are roles that require some level of experience. at least 3 to 5 years of experience. Okay, so let's assume you got in as a HEO. You've worked for about 2 to 3 years. You can easily move from a mid-level to a senior level role where you become a senior executive officer. All right. So if you got in as a data quality officer, for example, your next level or the next role for you could be a senior data quality officer or a senior data officer, and so on and so forth. Okay. So here you need experience. You need to show that you've done this thing before. You have experience doing it at least 3 to 5 years. And then you have from grade seven, from grade 8 and above. So anything above 7, because the SEO is grade 7. So anything above 7 is a leadership role. Okay, so you are in leadership, you'd see roles like directors, heads of departments, and so on and so forth. And of course, you know what it takes to get into a role like this. These are roles where you start to look at, remuneration around 80,000, 90,000, and even six figures in pounds per annum. Okay, so if you ask me today, which roles should I focus on if I want to land a job with the civil service? I would recommend two specific, grade levels, and that would be the HEO and the SEO, the higher executive officers or the senior executive officer. And like I mentioned, I'll show you before the end of our session today how you can apply to jobs like this. Because I know one of the questions you have in your mind is, how can I get a job as a project manager or a project officer or a business analyst if I don't have experience? Perhaps you've worked, in customer service, you've worked in, operations management, you've done something totally different back in your home country or even in the UK where you are today. And the question for you is, how do I get a job as a data analyst or a business analyst? How do I convince them that I can do the job? All right. So I'm going to show you exactly what to do step by step. And by the end of our session, in the next 1.5 to 2 hours, I'll walk you through everything that you need. And you'd have within your arsenal what it takes for you to land the job before the end of 2026. Okay. Now, people make a lot of mistakes when applying to civil service roles. And by joining this session today, you won't make similar mistakes like that. Because I've seen this too many times from people who apply. Some of them might seem like what you know and what you've seen before. But trust me, when it comes to the civil service, the job application process is a totally different ballgame. It's not taking your CV, applying to the job, you get invited for an interview, and that's it. No, it's a bit different. Okay. But one of the major mistakes people make is using generic CV to submit applications. So perhaps you've gotten interviews with a particular type of CV and you use that same CV to apply to a civil service job. You're likely going to get rejected. 100% of the time, you will get rejected. Most of the roles in the civil service, just like the NHS, would also require supporting statements. If you use generic supporting statements without considering the success factors by the civil service have something they call success profiles. Okay, they call them the success profiles. And the success profiles is the framework, the recruitment framework used within the civil service. I'll show you, we'll go to the civil service website, and you'd see what the success factors are or the success profiles are. If you apply and you don't consider the specific profile they are looking out for and include that into your supporting statement, you would never get that job. Okay. We'd look at what the profiles are. Sometimes they want to look at behavioral. Okay, behavioral. They want to look at technical, your ability. These are the success profiles. We're going to get to the website and you'd see all the success profiles. You need to know for this job, what will I be tested on? What would my interview look like? What would my assessment center aim to assess? Will they be looking at my technical competence? Will the focus be on behavioral? Because most jobs would not test the entire five to six success profiles. They might test for one, test for two, or test for three. Now, these profiles must fit into your CV and also fit into your supporting statement. And if you don't have that, just forget it. You will never get called for that interview. Okay. So we're going to get into that and I'll show you, we'll break it down as we move on. Ignoring the job requirements. Again, you can't take your CV, generic CV, and apply to jobs. If you ignore the requirements, especially aligning with the success profiles, you are just wasting your time. So the generic CVs, you've used ChatGPT to tailor and do all those things without looking at the job requirements, looking at what they're looking out for, focusing on that, looking at the success profiles, and using that to tailor your CV and supporting statements, you will not get the job. Then one mistake people also make is no measurable impact. So the civil service is focused on something. They're focused on outcomes. Okay. When you did the things we are looking for, so let's say they are looking for a data analyst that can use Power BI and Tableau. All right. Just for the purpose of, this illustration, they want somebody that can use Power BI and Tableau. And you've not defined in your CV or in your supporting statements how you have used Power BI to analyze data or visualize data, and it led to something improving. Or you've not shown how you have used Tableau to carry out analysis, and that's the result of your analysis, the recommendation from your analysis led to an improvement. There was an impact from what you did. If you don't position your application that way, you would also never get a job. And I dare say one of the most important is when you don't use the STAR method. The STAR approach is absolutely critical, not just in the interviews, but also in your supporting statement. This is what they want, and this is the framework. Okay, so it's a little bit, I would say, robotic in the sense that they simply tick the box. Did you do this? Yes or no? Did you use this framework? Yes or no? And if you don't use the STAR approach during your interviews, in your supporting statements, you'd also not get in. And these are the major mistakes that a lot of people make. And for people asking what's the STAR approach or what's the STAR method, it's a very popular approach, most especially for answering competency-based questions. Okay? Competency-based questions. Questions that ask, tell me about a time. Okay? Scenario-based questions. What would you do in this scenario? And so on and so forth. So tell me about a time you have used Power BI to carry out analysis and it led to the desired business impact. So for some people, they'll say, I built a dashboard and I presented that dashboard to management. Management was very impressed with the dashboard and my recommendations were taken into, action. That is not using the STAR approach. The STAR approach would require you to come up with the situation. Give some context. Why did you need to build that dashboard? Okay, so the company currently did not have visibility to the field officers working on the field. And this led to a drop in productivity from 90% to 80%. So there was a need for me to build a dashboard to visualize all the field officers and their productivity levels. Give context. Why did you build that dashboard? What happened? What situation led to you solving that problem? So you are simply telling a story constructively. The company had no visibility to the field officers, and because of that, performance dropped or productivity dropped because we could not give real-time feedback to help them in their activities, something like that. Then you have T, which is what? The task. So the task simply means what was required to be done on that particular project, or why was that project required? What task was involved? So if you had to build a dashboard because you did not have visibility, so what was the task you needed to carry out? So I needed to carry out, initial assessments using a survey instrument, deploying that to the field officers to get the data that I'll need to build my dashboard. So you've talked about the situation that led to you building that dashboard. What task did you need to carry out to build a dashboard? Okay. And of course, you talk about your actions. Actions would specify exactly what you did. We're going to get into the STAR framework a little bit later in our session today. This is me just giving you something from the top of my head. Okay. So actions would aim to test what exactly did you do on that particular project? What tools and technologies did you use? This time around, not we did or I worked in a team. What did you do? What was your impact? What exactly did you build? How did you build it? So you want to talk about the actions that you took to solve that particular problem, and then your results. Your result is simply after you did all the things you did, there was a situation, there was a task that you needed to accomplish in order to solve that situation or solve that problem. You took X, Y, Z actions. So I used Google Forms, or I used Qualtrics as a survey instrument, and I deployed it to all the field officers in order to gather the data that I need to build my dashboard. I also connected that survey instrument to a PostgreSQL database so that I could have real-time insights on my Power BI dashboard. So after connecting the survey instruments and building a PostgreSQL database, I also connected my Power BI to that database, and I analyzed the data by building a data model. All the actions you took, remember, you're not carrying out actions in isolation. You are carrying those actions in line with the job requirement. So what are they looking for? Are they looking for somebody that can build a data model in Power BI? You want to add that as part of the actions that you took. Are they looking for somebody that knows how to connect Power BI to a PostgreSQL database? You want to talk about that as part of the things that you did. And after you did all of that, what was the result? You talk about the results. Management now had visibility to all the field officers, activities by using the dashboard that I built. And this led to real-time feedback to field officers, which increased our revenue from X amount to Y amount. There was an increase by 20%. There was an increase in revenue by 50%. And because I accomplished this task, I won the best employee for that month. Okay. So the STAR method is so important when applying to jobs in the civil service. These are the things they want to see. They don't want you just telling stories and telling them what you did. No, structure it in a framework like the STAR, framework. What was the situation, task, the actions, and the results? And we're going to dive, a little bit deeper into the STAR framework as we move on today. And if you want access to my slide at the end of today's session, make sure you fill the attendance. Don't miss out on that. So you get everything I'll be sharing with you today. So these are the mistakes people make, and they don't use the STAR method. And if you don't do this, remember, you are never going to get the job, both in your supporting statements and also in the interview when they ask you questions that are competency based. Tell me about a time. What would you do in a situation like this? And they give you the situation. You use the STAR technique to structure your answer so you are constructive in the way that you give back the feedback. Now, what's the winning strategy when applying to the civil service job? And of course, everybody would say, just do the opposite of the mistakes people make. And if you say that, you're absolutely correct. Your CV must be tailored to the job requirements. Your supporting statements must also be tailored to the job requirements and also the success profiles. Remember, always check the person specification. There's always a person specification, the type of person that they want. Do they want somebody that has certifications, or do they want somebody that just has a portfolio? Do they want somebody that knows how to talk and communicate, or do they want somebody that can work from the comfort of their home without being supervised, and so on and so forth? There's always a person specification outside the job description. Sometimes the person specification would come up as a document. You can download that document as a PDF and read and see what it's all about. Or they simply just highlight, the person specification as part of the job requirements. I'll show you what it looks like. And there's also a job description. Always check. Who are they looking for? Who do they want to be on this role? And everything you do when filling the form, to creating your supporting statement, to tailoring your CV, you must include all the keywords in those materials and instruments that you send back to them. If you don't, you would never get shortlisted for the subsequent steps of the application process. Then you must have evidence of your impact. And I deliberately used capital letters for this: evidence. They don't care about what you say you can do. They want to see what you have done. And there are different ways they can see this. They can see this by assessing you. There was one of our students who got a job recently. Before he got hired and he got that job, they gave him an Excel test. He was meant to do an Excel test, and he was also meant to do a SQL test. Okay, so Excel and SQL. When they gave him the Excel test, it was a physical interview. It was a physical assessment, rather. They gave him the Excel test, and he was meant to do VLOOKUP. Very simple, straightforward assessment, VLOOKUP. He was meant to do a VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP. Two people stood behind him and were watching what he was doing. So this is not your take the assessment, go back home and complete. No. Two people stood beside him and they were watching what he was doing. And the moment he was able to complete the VLOOKUP assessment, they told him to get up and proceed to the interview. He didn't even have to complete the SQL assessment anymore. They were okay with the way he solved the VLOOKUP on Excel. And that led them to say, hey, okay, get up, let's go to the interview. All right. So you must have evidence that you can do the job and evidence that you've done the job before. It's either you provide them with a portfolio or they will assess your performance. Okay. It's always part of the recruitment process. You must answer all questions with STAR, like I mentioned, and always check the success profiles. Extremely important. And like I mentioned, I'll show you all these things step by step and how to ensure that you take notes of them. Okay. So, and as I walk you through the next steps, we'll go to the success profiles one after the other, and I'll show you where this particular success profile is very important. Okay. And how you should approach that success profile to ensure that you are able to put in the right application. But before anything else in applying to the job, One of the first things you must do if you want to land a job with the civil service is you must get into a high demand career path that the civil service is recruiting for. They are always recruiting. And one of the easiest ways to know if a career path is in high demand, search and check the number of roles they're hiring for at that particular point in time. And let's do a quick practical, okay? And then I'll come back to walk you through the high demand careers within the civil service. But that's the first thing you want to do. Get into a high demand career path. Once you do this, you make your job 10 times easier because you are getting into a career path that the civil service is currently recruiting for. So they want you, they want to hire you. So all you need to do is follow the process, do things the right way, and you will get that job eventually. Okay. So let's go to the civil service job portal. Again, remember all the links I'll be using today, everything, you have them on my slide. Okay. So make sure you fill the attendance so you don't miss out on the links I'll be sharing and so on and so forth. Okay. So let's go to the civil service portal, the job portal. So I'm not a robot. That's one of the things they would ask. Click continue and let's get into the job portal. Okay. So let's maximize so you can see my screen better. So civil service job search, find jobs in the civil service and central government organizations. Now, the reason why there's so many other platforms to apply to jobs in the civil service, but the job portal here gives you access to multiple agencies, HMRC, Works and Pension, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what we're just going to do, and I want to show you something. I mentioned the fact that what you want to do is get into a high demand career path, which is a career path that the civil service is actively searching for. Not in one, they're not hiring for one role or two roles or three or four or five. They're hiring for multiple roles, multiple roles. Okay. So one of the first things I'll do, let's search for project manager. So again, because they are very keyword sensitive, I'm not just going to type project manager. So if I want a job as a project manager, project officer, PMO analyst, I can just type project. Okay. Or data analyst, business analyst, I just type analyst. Okay. So if you do this and you click on search, it will show you multiple roles with the title analyst. Okay. So you can see business analyst, for example, senior business analyst, business analyst as well, and so on and so forth. Let's click on this and see. Okay, so I'll just click on this and let's see this business analyst role. So it's an SEO role. Okay, senior executive officer. All right, so it's a senior level role. Remember, you have the AO, administrative officer, you have the HEO, the EO, executive officer, the higher executive officer, and the senior executive officer. So this is a senior executive officer role. Number of jobs available, 3. They're currently recruiting for three roles within this particular, or 3 people to fill into this particular role. Okay, Birmingham, Bristol, Glasgow, Leeds, Liverpool, Nottingham, and so on. All right. So it's a permanent contract. These are some of the things you want to look at. Is it a fixed term contract? Is it a full time? Is it a permanent role? If it's a fixed term contract, how long is it likely going to last? Is it for 2 years, 3 years, 1 year? If it's permanent, one of the best things you want to do. Okay. It has flexible working. It's a full-time job, and so on and so forth. Now, let's search for another role. So they're hiring for 3 people to fill in that particular role. Let's type in project and let's search and see different roles project, about 307 search results. Okay, principal project manager, project support officer, SDA project manager. This is with the HMRC. Okay, so let's click on this and see. The salary is also fairly okay. Okay, this is decent, fairly okay. It closes on the 18th of May, 2026. So which means you have about what, just a little bit over 2 weeks to still apply to get this job. Now let's check for the project support officer role and let's see. So this is a role with the HMRC. This is a HEO role, higher executive office. And if you remember, I said apply to two types of roles, okay, in terms of the job grade, the HEO and the SEO. HEO preferably because that's usually where you'd find yourself. Okay. If you have 1 year experience, 2 years experience in that career path, you can easily get the HEO role. The SEO would mean that you've done something similar to that job before, even if it's not the exact job title, but you've done specific things. And I'll show you how that plays out. All right. So the salary, you can see that. What else? You'd work with the HMRC, the permanent contract. Look at the number of people they are looking to hire for this role. 55. 55 people, and you can see the different locations. Okay, Belfast, Bristol, Cardiff, Leeds, Manchester, Nottingham, Portsmouth, and so on. Bradford, so many, locations. And you can see the number of roles available, 55. So that's the first thing you want to do. Roles that they're not hiring for just one person, multiple people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 55 people. So get into a career path that is in high demand. That's the first thing you want to do. So what we've done is we've analyzed jobs from the civil service, multiple job boards to identify the career paths that are high in demand. We also look at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports to show you jobs that are not just high in demand in the UK, but high in demand globally. Which means if I decide to leave the UK, move to Canada, leave the UK, move to the US, leave the UK, move back to Africa, or move somewhere, the job, that particular job role is still high in demand, irrespective of my location. All right. And we looked at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. We looked at the jobs the civil service keeps hiring for multiple roles. And we came up with these career paths that if you want to land a job in 2026, these are the areas you want to focus on. All right. You have the business analysts, you have the data analyst, the product designer, agile project manager, HR analyst, financial analyst, health tech professionals, and GRC analysts. These are the career path you want to focus on. Okay. Now, health tech is majorly with the NHS. Okay. Majorly with the NHS. The civil service would not really hire for healthcare related roles. Those are roles focused within the NHS. The healthcare data analyst, healthcare business analyst, the healthcare project manager. All right. So these are the roles, 8 career paths that if you find yourself in any of these 8 career paths, you will position yourself for the best jobs available. And like I said, we're going to do a practical job application process. A lot of mistakes people make, and a lot of people, even here today in this session, think that I need to have heaven and earth to get these jobs. Oh, I need to have a certificate. I need to have that. I need to have that. And you focus on the wrong things. And that's the reason why you struggle to get the job. You apply, you get rejected, and you really don't know what to do. Okay. So I want you to take a note of these different 8 career paths that I've listed that are high demand career path with the civil service. They are eligible for sponsorship with the skilled worker visa. They are career paths that are growing in demand in the next 5 years, the next 10 years. These are career paths that keep on growing according to the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. Which of these career paths are you interested in? I want you to type into the chat. Which of these career paths are you interested in? Okay. So I'd like to see your feedback. Type into the chat. Okay, let's see, which career path are you interested in? Data analyst, financial analyst like Daniel, health tech, Abimbola, DevOps, fantastic from Mesoma, business analyst, data analyst, Amarachi. Okay, so let's keep it coming. Project officer, project manager, Marie. I'd show you multiple people that got jobs as a project officer, project support officer, and so on and so forth. Agile project manager, Alex, absolutely phenomenal. Business analyst, that's from. Okay, that just went away. Oluwatosin says data analyst. Nonso says data analyst. David says DevOps. Sam says data analyst. Absolutely phenomenal. So that's one of the first things you want to do. Get into the right career path. Once you've done that, you've made your job 10 times easier. So you're not in a career path where you go to the job board and you search and you can't find any role within that space. Okay. For those of you that chose GRC, for example, you go, you search for compliance, and you'd see multiple roles in compliance that you can apply to. All right. So that's the first thing you want to do. Now, the second thing you want to do, which is one of the most important, because this is tied to one of the success profiles that I mentioned, is you learn the skills required to land these high demand jobs. But you don't just learn the skills anyway, you learn them the right way. You'll be asking the question, what's the right way? Adeza, what do you mean by the right way? Any way you learn is right, but that's not true. People learn the wrong way. I learned the wrong way myself when I was transitioning from management consulting to data analytics. I did all the things you've done. Okay, I have 1,000,001 courses on Udemy, on Coursera. I never finished them. Okay. And the reason is simple. My focus was 100% self paced. I felt I could do it on my own, I could do it alone. And that was the focus for me. But I wasted time. I had no support. There was no professional in that career path that could tell me that this is the mistake you are making. And very simple problems that I stumbled on when I was learning at that time. It took me 2 weeks, 3 weeks to solve them because I had no professional I was working with. I was doing it on my own. Okay. So imagine you are training for a football match. You are training for a football match, and all you do is to watch the match. You watch a lot of football right in front of your screen. You try to memorize the tactics. Okay. So every day, every weekend, you're watching the Premier League, you're watching La Liga, you're watching Serie A, you're watching football every single day because you want to know how to play football. Compare yourself to somebody who is actually playing the ball, playing the match. So instead of watching, they are playing the match, they get tackled, they injure themselves, they get up again, they improve, and they keep on playing football. Who do you think would know how to play football? The person that is watching or the person that is actually playing the ball? Okay. So when I say both of them are learning, the person watching the match, let's say person A, this one is watching all the matches. They know all the tactics, in their head is there. They know the tactics and all of that. Then you have person B who is playing the match. They get on the field, they get tackled, they injure themselves, they get up, they run, they get tired, they make mistakes, the coach will shout on them, and so on and so forth. Who would know how to play football? Person A or person B? The one watching or the one playing the match? Just type into the chat. But guess what? Both of them are learning. Okay. They are both learning, but one is learning the right way, the other one is learning the wrong way. Alex says person B. Okay. Let's see if we have any other person with a different opinion than Alex. So share your thoughts in the chat. Let's keep it engaging and not a one-way conversation. User says B, absolutely. All right. So how you learn also matters. Fumi says B, and I agree. If you play the match, you know how to play the main match when the time comes. So how do you learn the right way? And learning the right way ties to one of the success, profiles with the civil service. So let me show you something. Let's go back to that job. Okay. So we went to This is a project support officer role. Apply before 11:55, Monday, the 18th of May. So it's pretty new. You can apply to this job as long as you apply before the 18th. You'll be able to get in, but you want to apply early enough, doing everything you need to do. Now, we're going to come back to the job summary and all of those, wonderful stuff you have here. But I want to show you something. Okay. If you scroll all the way down, you'd see something called the success profiles. Okay. So they're simply telling you that this vacancy is using success profiles and will assess your behaviors and experience. A lot of people ignore this. This is one of the most important things you want to take note of here. What success profile are they assessing? Two, behaviors and experience. But let's click on the success profile and let's see what the success profiles are. So I click on that. It takes us to the success profiles. And this is success profiles at the recruitment framework within the civil service. It was last updated last year, January. Let's click on any one of them, okay? Success profiles, candidates overview. So I click on that and it takes me to the candidate overview. Then I can see the 5 different success profiles, 5 of them: ability, technical, behaviors, strength, and experience. Who remembers the 2 success profile? That role would, assess the project support officer role. Let me help you. They would assess what? Behavior and experience. Okay. So if you look at the success profile, they're going to assess your behavior and experience, which means the actions and activities that people do, which result in effective performance in the job. That's behavior. You can read more about it by clicking on the link. It takes you to the behaviors. Experience is the knowledge or mastery of an activity or subject gained through involvement in or exposure to it. Okay. So you can look at how they would assess your experience, how they would assess your behavior. But if you understand what they'll be assessing, it's easy for you to tailor that to the job itself. Your supporting statements, your CV, what type of keywords, what language would they like to see based on the behaviors, based on your experience, and so on and so forth. These are the success profiles. Now, let's go back to the slide. We're going to go back to that and I'll show you how to use that in your application. Okay. So when you learn the right way, what you are doing is you are picking one of those success profiles and you're working with them. And which success profile do you think you'll be improving when you learn the right way? Technical, your ability to do the job, your knowledge of and expertise of doing the job. Okay, so technical is very important. And that's why you must learn the right way. So we've all learned the wrong way. I've made the mistake. People are still making the mistake over, a decade later. The mistakes I made a decade ago, people make them today. And whenever I have the opportunity to speak to professionals like you, I tell you that, look, what you are doing is totally wrong. How do you learn? The best way to learn today, to ensure that you know how to do the job. When you are asked questions, tell me about a time, you know exactly what to say. You must do 2 things. Number 1 is you must learn in a project-based environment, which means you learn by doing the job, the real work. You want to get a job as a project support officer, you must be doing the work of a project support officer. You want to get a job as a data quality officer, you must be doing the job of a data quality officer. That's how you learn in a project-based environment. That's how you know how to do the job on day 1 when you get that job. And the second thing you must do is to showcase your work, evidence that you've done that job before. And how do you show that you've done the job before? By building a portfolio. Okay. And I'll show you practically how this works out and exactly what it means. Remember, when I showed you one of the mistakes that people make, and I said, these are the things you need to do. Remember, I highlighted evidence in capital letters. Evidence is so important because they want to see that you have done that job before. Okay. And how do you have evidence? How do you build evidence? You build evidence through your portfolio. All right. Now, let's see what learning in a project-based environment means and how do you showcase to the world that you have experience in that career path. You've done work in that career path. You have evidence of the things you've done in that career path. So I'm going to show you, I'll take you to a classroom. Okay. I'll take you to a classroom. This is the health tech classroom for these, professionals registered for the health tech program, the healthcare data analytics program at Analytics in February this year, 2026. I'll take you to one of their classrooms and I'll show you when we say learn in a project-based environment, what does it mean practically? Okay. So I'm going to take you to one of their classrooms. All right. So let's say Power BI class 2. So here they are learning how to use Power BI. Okay. But what exactly are they doing with Power BI? How are you learning Power BI? Are you learning Power BI the way everybody else learned, the wrong way? I also learned the wrong way at some point where I go on YouTube, I go on Udemy, and I was watching videos upon videos, and that never helped me. It did very little to help. So how do you learn in a project-based environment? First of all, with your class material. So this is a health tech program, which means I want to become a healthcare data analyst. What type of work must I do? I must solve problems that a healthcare data analyst would solve. So right from the class material, what you solve in class, this is for a hospital called St. Augustine General Hospital. And I'm helping them to perform analysis using Power BI. The problem this hospital has today is their data is stored in multiple locations, stored in different silos and different departments. And there is no central location for all their data. And because of that, it's difficult to analyze and report efficiently. The hospital cannot tell when do we have the highest number of patients visiting the hospital. They can't tell what's the longest length of stay of patients in the oncology department. They can't answer those questions with the data that they have because data is scattered in different silos. So what do you do on this project? You use Power BI to build a structured data model. Okay, so you have a business problem. You look at what the problem is all about, what you're looking to solve. You connect your data, your Power BI to the electronic health records. You get your data and then you build a data model. And at the end of the day, you want to build a dashboard. So to help the hospital leadership understand what's the longest length of stay in oncology, longest length of stay in, cardiology, and so on and so forth. The beauty about this is you're not just watching videos, you are working together with a professional that is currently on that job, that has done that job, has years of experience doing the job, and they're helping you learn how to do the same. So you take this project, and I'll show you what the classroom looks like. All right. It's a live class with a real human being who would teach you and work with you on how to solve these problems. So you're in class with a professional. You are working on the project together. This is what the class looks like. Okay. You are solving problems. You can ask questions and stop and say, hey, I'm doing something. I think I'm getting it wrong. Where am I getting it wrong? And they can provide guidance and corrections and tell you what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right, and so on and so forth. This is the difference between just watching random videos and doing what? Working in a project-based environment. Now, when you've solved this problem for St. Augustine Hospital, you've helped them build a data model with Power BI. You've done the amazing work for them. What do? You must have evidence, a portfolio that showcases the problem you've solved before, evidence that you solved the problem. So I'll show you what a portfolio looks like. All right. So a portfolio is simply your warehouse. You build a portfolio. The link to your portfolio would be on your CV. The link would also be on your LinkedIn profile. So this is a portfolio for Victoria. She solved problems for this hospital, their emergency room, and she helped the emergency room to do what? Reduce patient wait time, how the length of time, the length of stay for patients in ER. She used data to analyze to help reduce patient wait time and increase patient satisfaction. And anybody can click on this. I can click on the link here. When you get my slides at the end of today's session, you can click on that link and it brings you to the dashboard that Victoria built. The same way the hiring manager, the recruiters at the civil service would be able to access your dashboard, access your portfolio to see what you've done, the quality of the work you've done. They would ask you, can you show me your portfolio, show me some Excel, dashboards you've built, show me a Gantt chart that you've built, show me a project charter, show me a process map that you've built as a business analyst. Okay. And these are the type of questions they want. They want to see evidence that you've done that before. And that was the only reason why they had seen this gentleman's portfolio and they gave him a VLOOKUP assessment on Excel and he completed it and they told him, don't bother about SQL. Let's go on to the interview because they have seen what he could do. And he proved it to them right in front of them on that, assessment day. So I can click on any of these and the dashboard would interact. I want to see data for Q1, click on Q1 and it interacts as well. So don't forget, fill the attendance so that you get my slide. You can click on this and see how it works. Okay. So this is exactly what a portfolio looks like. All right. And this is not the only project. You have multiple other projects in your portfolio. This is how you must learn. This is how you show technical competence to do that job because you've done it before. Extremely important. So number one is to get into the right career path. You all selected career path you're interested in. Number two is to learn the right way. You learn in a project-based environment. You build a portfolio to showcase the work you've done. And number three is to do what? Gain work experience to show the civil service that you are the best candidate for that job. So the beauty about this is when you work in a project-based environment, you do what? You start to build experience in your portfolio, So that's one way of gaining experience. I'll show you the second way of gaining work experience and how that helps you when it comes to landing the job. Okay. So you gain work experience. This is critical. And when you look at one of the success profiles with the civil service, let's go back to success profiles. You'd see what? Experience is one of the things that they look out for. And this is your knowledge or mastery of an activity or subject gained through involvement in or exposure to it. And for this particular role we are currently looking at, they would assess you for your behaviors and also for your experience. So experience is absolutely critical. So what this means is if you don't have work experience, forget it. Don't bother applying to this job. You will not get it. Don't bother. Okay, so these are some of the things you start to look out for and gives you clarity into, can I apply to this job or not? Okay, so now how do you gain work experience? I've shown you how to gain work experience I was going to ask you a question. I'll come back to that. Okay, I've shown you how to gain work experience by building projects. together with a professional live in a classroom. And those projects become part of your work experience because you put them into your portfolio. Another way is through internship. All right. And this is compulsory for anybody who joins any analytics program. When you join the project management program, you must undergo internship with our sister company, Amdari. Amdari is where you gain your work experience through internship. Amdari operates out of Alberta in Canada and also London in the UK. So you can show that you have UK work experience. And this becomes critical when it comes to the point of you getting a reference for your pre-employment checks and your background check. And I'll show you the emails, numerous emails we've gotten from the civil service to say, this gentleman got a job. I need you to provide, a reference for him in order to complete his job application process. This amazing lady got a job. I need you to complete a reference for her to, complete the pre-employment checks and so on and so forth. So internship is absolutely critical. And the way the internship works is simple. You would have you as a project manager, you work together on a project with other professionals. So you're about 4 to 5 on a team. And the exact way you work in the real world, where you have a line manager and the line manager would supervise the work you've done. You meet with your line manager at least twice a week to get feedback from your line manager. They tell you what you've done right, what you need to go adjust, and you go back to do those things. This is another amazing way for you to gain work experience because you're not just gaining work experience in terms of the technical, you're also learning employability and soft skills. Okay, communication skills, time management skills, teamwork, and so on and so forth. And remember, once you've done all of these, you need to have evidence that you've done this before. Because when you're asked questions in interviews that tell me about a time, that's where your internship saves you. Tell me about a time, the project you've completed, because these are projects in the area you want to land a job in. You know exactly what to say when you get into the room. All right. So, and of course, it's a no-brainer. I always like to ask this question, but I would like to know your thoughts on this. You have two tailors. You want to sew a wedding dress and you want to sew a suit, a wedding dress and a suit. You have tailor A, who has a certificate that shows that he's gone to tailoring school. He's very good with tailoring and the rest. And then you have tailor B, who has a store. You can walk into the store, you can see what they've done, you can touch the quality, the material, you can see the finishing, and so on and so forth. Which of these tailors would you trust to give your suit or your wedding dress to sew? Tailor A or tailor B? Hadija says B, Hakma says B, Alex says B, Anthony says B. Fantastic. Monica says B, 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 B. I all agree with you. I'll go for Taylor B as well because I can see what Taylor B has done. Evidence that they can do the job. Evidence that they can do the job. And that's exactly what the civil service would also want from you. And not just the civil service. And that's why at the beginning I mentioned that it doesn't matter where you are. These are principles that would guide you on getting a job anywhere in Canada, in the US, across Europe, and so on and so forth. And I'll show you success stories of people across multiple regions. And these same principles help them get those jobs. All right. Remember, I said we're going to get to a practical, session, and I'll walk you through a couple of things and how we help you navigate the entire space and eventually you land a job. Okay. So always remember, just like Taylor B that has a showroom, your portfolio is your showroom. Just like Taylor B that has evidence, the projects you've completed are your evidence. Okay. So like the portfolio I showed you, this project for this hospital is evidence. If you anybody can click on the link and see, just the same way you can walk into that tailor shop and touch and feel the materials and so on and so forth. Evidence is extremely, extremely important. All right. And I want you to listen to this particular amazing lady. Her name is Toyin. Toyin had a background in aviation. Today, Toyin is a project manager in the UK. All right. And I want you to hear what she said about how the internship helped her during her interview, how she was able to speak confidently because she had done the job before. She knew exactly what to say. All right. So I want you to listen to Tony just for about 2 minutes thereabouts. And then I want you to pick one or two things that you learned from Tony's story based on everything I've been saying today. Okay, so I'm going to click on the link.
Amazing. So what specific?
And remember, all the links, like I mentioned, you have them in your slide. You have them on my slide. And when you get the slide at the end of the session, you have access to this. So if you haven't filled the attendance, make sure you fill the attendance. So Tony came to us. She completed her training with us at Analytics. She moved to Amdari for her internship and she landed a job. And I want you to hear what she had to say about how the internship helped her to land this job. Enjoy Tony's story.
Specific aspect of the internship really helped you to ace your interview, gave you the confidence to also ace your interview?
It's all encompassing basically because I know even before I came into Amjari doing my internship, I know I started off with Udemy trying to do project management with them and everything, but it was like they were speaking Spanish to me because it was more like theory. I couldn't really understand, but then coming into practical aspect, it's not just practical, but you have to have a hands-on practical experience. We've had opportunities of sharing our idea of doing presentation and having to develop project right from the project charter to Gantt chart to the WBS to racing matrix to the critical thinking to stakeholders and analysis and all those. So it was the practical experience, and then also having to develop the AI chatbots and FinPay project and all those stuff. So it gave me the practical experience that I knew I needed for the role that I'm being prepared for. And then at the interview, I know because of the experience that I've had, because of the practicality of my experience, I was able to, tailor it to meet the interview questions, and then they gave me an idea of what is expected of me, and then I used my practical knowledge to tailor my response to those, and then that was it.
So that's Tony. Tony, during her internship, she started applying to jobs. She got opportunities. Today, Tony is a project manager simply because if you heard what she said, Tony also made the same mistakes that I made in the past. She said she started with Udemy. Udemy is a fantastic platform, but it's self-paced, which means I do things on my own. I watch videos on my own. But when I have interviews, does Udemy come to prepare me for interviews? All right. When I need a reference, does Udemy write a reference for me? When I make a mistake and I need somebody to sit down with me and walk me through and say, this is exactly what I need to do. So these are the problems with people getting into a new career path. I faced the problem myself. Twain faced the same problem, and you could hear her. It felt like theory to her because all she was learning felt like Spanish, to use her own words. And that's where work experience is absolutely critical. Your internship is phenomenal in preparing you for the job when it comes to knowing what to do. She talked about the project charter, the Gantt charts, the work breakdown structure, and she talked about the AI, chatbot that they built as one of the projects, and also FilmPay, which is a fintech, application that they built. And these are the things she would go to the interview to speak about during the interview process. So not speaking from the point of these are the things I've read or I know, but these are the things I've done. Okay. And when you join Analytics and eventually you move to Amdari, you don't present yourself as a student or a learner or a trainee. You present yourself as a consultant. Okay. And I'll show you how you position yourself on LinkedIn and how all these things help you when it comes to getting the job itself. Okay. So before we go to number 4, we've talked about 3 major things: getting into the right career path, learning the right way by learning in a project-based environment, and also showcasing your work to the whole world using a portfolio, gaining work experience. And you just listen to Tony, who had no background in project management. She worked in aviation, in administration with the NCAA in Nigeria, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. Before she moved, she got a job in the UK today as a project manager simply because she could articulate her experience because she had actually done that job. Now, number 4 is what? Referencing. One of the things you'd see with organizations like the civil service is they do their background check. They want to know that they are not hiring a criminal. They want to know they're hiring somebody that can do the job. So they do a pre-employment check. They do a background check on you to be sure you're the right person for the job. So when you present yourself as somebody who has done the job before and you list Analytics or Amdari, where you do your internship as part of your work experience, they reach out to us to provide you with a reference as part of your pre-employment checks. It's non-negotiable. Okay, this is for Sharon. This is what it looks like, and this particular reference check is for Sharon. Okay, this was sent sometime in 2024. And this is from the HMRC. From HMRC saying, "Dear Adeza Suleiman," that's me, "why you have received this email. Sharon has been given a provisional offer for a position at the HMRC. As part of the employment process, we are doing pre-employment checks, and they have nominated you as a referee to provide some information. We need your help to proceed with our checks." So this is where there's a link right at the bottom. You can't screenshot the entire email. There's a link at the bottom. You click on that link, you provide all the information. And what do they want to see? They want to see that all the things you say you can do, somebody can corroborate, that for you. You can use Excel, you can use Jira, you can use Trello. Somebody should corroborate that. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Did you actually do these things with Analytics or Amdari? Somebody can corroborate that story for you. So this is what your reference looks like. And of course, Sharon landed a job. She got a job I'll confirm that in my next slide. She completed one of our programs. She got that job. And that is the civil service, the HMRC reaching out to say, hey, provide a reference for us to give Sharon a full-time offer. She currently had a provisional offer at that particular point in time. And I'll see if I can find Sharon's profile. Just give me 1 second. I'll check. I'll see if I can find Sharon's profile. And there's something I want you to see and I want you to notice when you go to Sharon's profile. Okay. So that's Sharon's profile right there. Let me show you what it looks like. Okay. Very quickly. I'll just maximize this. So that's Sharon right there, Sharon. And you'd see that one of the things you see on Sharon's profile is you both worked at Analytics. What does that mean? You worked together, which means Analytics is part of our work experience. And if you scroll down, you'd see it right there. She's currently a risk data analyst with the HMRC. And prior to that, what did she do? Data analyst with Analytics. She did not position herself as a learner, as a student, as somebody who is a trainee. She positioned herself as what? Somebody who is on the job. somebody who has experience, somebody that has done that job before. And the reason why she can do this is she actually did the job, working in a project-based environment, solving problems, building a portfolio, and that helped her land this job. And before she got confirmed, guess what? The HMRC reached out to us, provide a reference for Sharon. And this is where your referencing is absolutely important. You have somebody like Elizabeth. Elizabeth also landed a job sometime in August last year, 2025. She got a job as a business analyst after completing our business analysis program. And this is also HMRC reaching out to say that she has a provisional offer, provide us with pre-employment checks, some information so that we can give Elizabeth the full-time offer. Another person who got a job. Elizabeth had no experience, had no knowledge, but today Elizabeth is a business analyst with HMRC. You have Richard as well. Richard got a job as a project support officer in August 2025 last year after completing the Agile project management program. And the same way, this is also from the HMRC reaching out to say, Richard has listed you as a referee. There's a Suleiman, request for information, and so on and so forth. You have Francis. Francis got a job as a data quality officer in November 2024 after completing our data analytics program. And this was not from the HMRC, this was from the Department of Work and Pension. Provide us with information for Francis to get this particular job. Okay, and you have this is for Favor. Favor got a job as a financial investigator. Financial investigator. And I want to pick something out from here because a lot of people make the same mistake. A financial investigator role, you ask yourself the question, do I need to train as a financial investigator? Do I need to do a training that will prepare me as a financial investigator? And the answer is no. What particular career path did Favor join at Analytics? Financial analytics. But when you look at the financial analytics role, there are multiple roles within financial analytics itself. There's financial planning and analysis. There is financial analyst. You have financial investigator. And this is one of the roles you'd see with the NHS, with the civil service. Okay. So if you go to the civil service portal, for example, and let's go back to, so let me go back to just do a quick search. So let's say I join financial analytics, for example. I just type financial and I search. I want to see the type of jobs available. Okay, what type of jobs can I apply to? What type of job did Favor get? Financial accountant, financial investigator. This is one of them. Okay, financial investigator, so many roles, financial investigator, but this is with the HMRC. Favor got a job with the Department of Work and Pensions. All right. So many roles, financial strategy manager, and so on and so forth. Okay. I can click on any of the roles and let's see the number of people they're hiring. So this is 8. They're currently recruiting for 8 people on this particular role. And that was how Favor was able to land her job. All right. And all the things these professionals did to get the job are all the things I've shown you so far. Okay. This gentleman that got a job as a data quality officer, Francis. Let's see if we can find Francis' profile as well. Francis Umo. So that's Francis. Again, what do you see? You both worked at Tenalytics. Okay. And you see Francis currently works as a data quality officer. He works with the Department of Works and Pension Independent Office for police conduct. How did he get this job? He didn't position himself as a trainee. He positioned himself as a what? Data analyst on contract with Tenalytics. And this is very important and part of the things we show you how to do to ensure that you are able to land that job. All right. And this is Sharon, who had a customer service background back in Nigeria. She moved to the UK for her master's, and Sharon was able to land the job as a risk data analyst. And then you have Esther. So Sharon didn't do data engineering, she did data analytics. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I'm just going to correct that. Sharon did data analytics, and that enabled her land a job as a risk data analyst with the HMRC. And Esther landed a job. She had a pharmacy background back in Nigeria, studied pharmacy. When she moved to the UK, she got a job in care as a care worker. She didn't want that. She wanted to land a job, a proper job. She joined our Agile project management program in April last year, 2025. And just a few months later, she got a job as a contract project officer with the civil service. Now, the interesting thing about Esther's job, I'll tell you, it was in one of our mentorship sessions. I told the story of how I transitioned. And it was so inspiring to Esther that she made sure that from that day onwards, she started applying to jobs. And she said it in the video she recorded right here, where she spoke about her experience. I'm going to play this video for you, okay, before we wrap up. I want you to listen to Esther, okay? So she spoke about that mentorship session, and that's part of what we do. We let you know that when you're not applying, you are losing out on 100% of the jobs available. But when you apply, you give yourself a 50% chance of landing that job. And a lot of people would wait until they meet 100% of the requirements before they go ahead to apply. When other people that meet 60 to 70% are getting the job, but because you are not applying, you don't even have a foot in the door. You stand no chance of landing that job. I gave my story. I shared my profile at the time I got that first job. And I asked the question in the mentorship session that, look at this profile. I did not put my name. I didn't put any picture. So nobody knew it was me. So I said, look at this profile and look at the job requirement for this particular role. And tell me, do you think this profile can get this job? Everybody said no. Everybody said no. And it made sense because at that time, I met the requirements by just 60%. But guess what? I got the job. Okay. And how I got the job in terms of preparing, in terms of it was also part of me giving myself the chance of luck happening for me because the organization at that time wanted somebody who had a skill that I had, and nobody else who applied had that skill. And that was data warehousing. And that was what helped me get that job. So it was inspiring to Esther, and she went ahead to start applying. And that was what led her just within the space of about 4 months. Within the space of about 3 to 4 months, she landed a job as a contract project officer with the civil service. I'm going to play her video. You're going to listen to her. Okay. So the question is, what does my learning look like? When I joined Tenalytics, how do I learn? Okay. So your learning is for 6 months. You learn 6 months with Tenalytics, and then your internship is for 2 months. So it's a total of about 8 months. But the beauty about it, just like Esther, for example, she started in April, and by July, she had gotten a job. 3 months into our program, she got a job. And that's because you don't need to wait until you are done before you start applying. Because at the time you start applying, it's possible you meet the skills. And I'll give you the requirements. Let's go to the requirements of that project support officer one more time. Okay. So a lot of people would say you need to know so many things. You need to have a certificate to land the job. But guess what? These are the essential criteria they need for the person that they would hire. You also have the person specification right here. Okay. So between the person specification and the essential criteria of what they want somebody who can use Microsoft Office, particularly Excel for tracking and reporting, and Power BI for producing project updates. Nothing overly, technical. Okay. Somebody who can communicate clearly and effectively, provide robust administrative and governance support financial tracking, manage competing priorities, build and maintain effective work relationships. There is nothing in this job requirements that anybody here on the call today, about 80 of us, cannot learn within the space of 6 months and get this job. Nothing whatsoever. So the confusion and what a lot of people think is they position themselves as that carpenter A that has a certificate, which is not useful. Nobody needed to ask carpenter B, do you have a certificate or not? You all go with Carpenter B simply because Carpenter B knows how to do the job. They've done the job before, and that's what you call competence. They have the skills and they have the experience. That's what competence is all about, skills and experience. Tailor A only has a paper that shows that they have the skills. Okay, so employers, it's always good to look at the job requirements. What does this job entail? Do they want somebody that has a certificate? You are never going to find that anywhere here. And these are some of the things we open your eyes to. So just like Esther, who was hesitant to apply, she started to apply a lot earlier. Okay. So 6 months learning, 2 months internship. It doesn't matter where you are. You are in the UK. Your class would hold from 11 a.m. on Saturday to 2 p.m. every Saturdays. You don't need to join a live class any other day apart from Saturdays when you have your live class. If you are in the US, you are in Canada, your class would run from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So what this means is if you are in the UK, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. is when you have your class on Saturdays. If you can't meet that time in the morning, in the evening, you can join a class for those in the US or Canada, and that will be 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. your time. So you have that flexibility. All right. And that's part of how we help you land the job. So when you ask, how does Tenalytics help me land a job with the civil service? How did Sharon get her job? How did Esther get her job? How did Francis get his job? How did Favor get her job? First of all, they learned one of the high demand career path, one of the 8 high demand career path. We equip them with the skills. They learn in a project-based environment. They build portfolios, warehoused all their projects. This showed that they had the skills and experience to do the job. We help them gain experience through internship with Amdari. And when it comes to CV, we revamp your CV for you. And when we revamp your CV for you, we show you how to revamp your CV yourself going forward. So you're not stuck and you don't know what to do. And I'm going to show you a practical session on how the CV revamping works. And I have an amazing offer for those that will be staying till the end. In the next 30 minutes, I have an amazing offer for those that stay till the end. And it's a super amazing offer that would help you optimize your CV in few seconds. It's a powerful tool and one of the tools we have in-house. You can't get it anywhere else apart from here at Tenalytics and Amdari. And I'll show you, and some people would have free access to that tool. For those that stay till the end, I'll show you how you can gain access to it. But we help you tailor your CV. We help you revamp your CV to the industry standard. And then we show you how to do the same. We help with your LinkedIn optimization, your portfolio. I've shown you what the portfolio looks like. You join our mentorship sessions every Thursday evenings, and the mentorship sessions are powerful. Write it down somewhere for those of you writing on your notes. When you listen to Esther, listen to what she said about the mentorship. So start it somewhere on your book. I want to hear what Esther said about the mentorship. Okay. The mentorship is a very powerful session that happens every Thursday. So in your classroom, you go to your classroom, you'd see where you have mentorship. Okay. You see where you have what? Mentorship. And you'd see all the different amazing sessions, how to build a personalized networking plan, LinkedIn optimization. You must get a job. This is a job sprint where we give you the tools, we show you how to apply, where to apply, and so on and so forth. The STAR approach I talked about, we show you what the SEAT and the STAR approach is all about. The SEAT approach is another framework a lot of people don't know, but it's super powerful. The STAR approach is how you answer questions, tailor your supporting statements when applying to jobs with the civil service. So these are things we, do during our mentorship sessions and so on and so forth, interview simulations and so many things. How do you explain your career change when you move from your current role to another role? In an interview, when they ask you the question, how do you explain career changes? And the beauty about this is all these things are recorded. So if you miss the live session, you can always come back. So let's say I missed the live session on building a personalized networking plan. I can come here, I go to the recording, click on the recording and see what happened on that day. So that's me right there. I took this session on that day. Okay. So I come here and I go to watch the recording on all the things that I did, all the things I explained, and practically. So we always make it very practical. So I'll show you practically how to connect with companies, how to connect with recruitment agencies, recruitment specialists to ensure that when you apply to a job, you get a feedback. This was a powerful session on that day because a lot of people after this session, they knew exactly how to get feedback, how to look for the recruitment, the hiring manager, or look for the talent specialist within the organization and get them to look at their CVs. Okay. So that's me taking the session. And these are the amazing stuff you get during mentorship. When you have an interview, all you need to do is go to your learning management system, which you'd have access to. It's called the LMS. You go to the LMS, and what you simply do is you scroll down to where you have interview prep. You don't need to talk to anybody. You don't need to chase anybody. You don't need to call anybody. Go to your interview prep, click on schedule mock interview session, fill all the details, upload your CV, and somebody would prep you for an interview, even if your interview is on a Sunday. Okay, my interview is tomorrow, Sunday, for example. I would select, I select Sunday, and the day before the interview, somebody prepares me for that interview. And that's the beauty of the interview prep. So a lot of people have gotten burnt before because one of the fears that people have today, including yourself, is I've done this before. I've been to a training before. They never provided the support that I need. This is phenomenal support that you have here. You don't need to chase anybody. You don't need to call anybody. Just come here, select the program you've registered for, select the interview stage. Is the first interview, first round. Select the dates, post the link to the job, upload the CV you used to apply, and somebody would prep you one-on-one for that interview. All right. And one other thing again is apart from Saturdays when you have your live class, any other day during the week, you're on the LMS. So let's say I've registered for financial analytics. On a Monday, I can log into my learning management system, click on continue learning, financial analytics, and I can watch any session I want to watch. Okay. I want to learn SQL as a financial analyst. I can come here, click on any of the links under SQL. I want to learn how to write subqueries. I click on that and I can watch anything I want to watch at my own convenience, any day, anytime, anywhere. This is the beauty of the LMS. Let's assume I'm watching on a Wednesday and there is something I'm learning and I don't really understand, what it's all about. Okay. What do? I go to my class and I book a drop-in session. So I click on this link and I click to see the time and the days I can book a session with a real human being. I want somebody to look at what I've been trying to do and help support, tell me what to do. What am I doing wrong? And I can book that session anytime from Monday to Friday, any day from Monday to Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I can book a session. Somebody will join that session with me, look at the problem I have, and guide me on how to solve that problem. These are the type of support systems you have so that you thrive, you come out, and you eventually get that job. Okay. And when it comes to the reference, I talked about the reference already. I showed you what the reference looks like. You also have on the job support. And of course, the last phase is where we help you, show you where to apply, how to apply. We provide you with all the tools, and I'll be showing you one of the tools I'll be giving out for free today. Okay, one of the tools I'll be giving out for free is a tool that we built in-house. It's a powerful tool for your CV. So the technicality of you tailoring your CV and how complex it can get, this tool will do it for you in less than 2 minutes. And I'll show you how to use it. And this is what has helped so many people land interviews and land jobs. This particular tool, if you use it, you have all the skills, you use it properly, within 2 to 3 weeks, if you haven't been getting interviews, you would land your first interview because it does all the work for you in tailoring your CV to that job. And when you get that interview, you come back to us, we prepare you for that interview. And that's how you start to land the job. Okay, so I'm going to practicalize the apply aspect and you see exactly how it works. Okay, so let's go back. Let's do a very quick live demo. I'm going to do this for like 5 minutes at the maximum and you'd see exactly how this works. Okay, so let's go back. One of the things we also do in terms of where and how to apply is we pay to job boards that are not publicly available for free. You have to pay to access. So we, as an organization, we pay and then we make those job boards available to you. So under your important materials, you'd see something called job offers. So if you go to job offers, you click on that, this would show you the different jobs based on the program you've registered for. The ones that come with sponsorship, the ones that don't, in the US, in the UK, every Sunday we post these jobs. So you see the ones that come with sponsorship, true, and so on. And this is where you start from. You start applying to jobs here before you start applying to the jobs publicly. And that's where you get interviews a lot faster. Okay, so let's do some practical very quickly in the next 5 minutes, and then I'll come back to wrap up and show you how to start. And the people I'll be giving this free tool, I'll be giving you the tool for you to utilize. Okay, now what's that tool? And how do I want to apply to this job as a project support officer. But my job role today is I'm a care worker, okay? I'm a support worker, or I'm a healthcare assistant, or I'm a customer service professional, or I work in Tesco as a, store packer or something. But I want to apply to this job because I've registered at Analytics in their Agile project management program, and I have the skills. I want to get a job. I've built a portfolio. How do I take down my CV and how do I convert it to a project support officer CV? Okay. So this is one of the things you do. So we do the first one for you. So you have a very good template to use, but I'm going to use a random template, which will be similar to what so many people would have. And I'll show you what the template looks like. All right. So this is a random template. Let me share this with you. So this is a random CV. I hope I have the right one here. Yes. All right. So this person is a support worker. You see that under their work history. Michael Johnson. Of course, I changed the name. The person is in the UK. They want to get a job. They want to apply to that job as a what? Project support officer. Now, as a support worker, if I apply to this job and my first role says support worker, I'm going to get yanked off immediately. When it comes to the ATS, the applicant tracking system, this significantly reduces my score. All right. But I'm not going to worry too much about this because I have this particular tool I'll be showing you, and that tool is called CV Matchly. Okay. CV Matchly AI. So this is a tool that we built in-house to help you do what? Get more interviews. Get your CV to the front of recruiters and be sure that recruiters would see your CV because your CV matches the what? The job requirements. So if I want to apply to a job with the civil service, I don't want to stress and bother my head tailoring my CV for 1 hour for just one job. I want to do it in 2, 3 minutes, move on to the next one, move on to the next, and apply to at least 10 jobs. Apply to at least, 10 jobs in a day. And by the end of the week, I've applied to 20, 30 jobs. And I know that in the coming weeks, I will be getting assessments and getting interviews. Okay. But don't forget, one of the first things you want to do is you want to create an account with the civil service. Okay. The civil service job portal, you create an account. I almost forgot to mention that. You create an account. Now let's use CV Matchly. All right. Now, one of the things you also want to take note of is CV Matchly is an extension. So I've installed it already. So you'd see it as an extension right there at the top right corner. Okay. And at the bottom, you'd also see a match. It gives you a match percent. So what I'm going to do is the moment you go to any job board, NHS, civil service jobs, Indeed, CV Library, read.co.uk, any job board at all whatsoever, CV Matchly would capture the job requirements. Okay. Somebody stopped sharing my screen. I'm not sure who did that, but I'll go back to share. So let's go back to continue. I think you can see my screen now. Yes. So CV Matchly would take the job requirements and it would give you a match, show you by how much your CV matches that job. And you can optimize immediately, generate a tailored CV for that job in a second. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on CV Matchly. You'd see that it's an extension already. So what I'll do is I want to remove the CV that I have. I want to remove the CV I have and I want to upload a new CV. Okay. I want to upload that random CV I showed you from Michael Johnson. So I'm going to click on upload. I'll go to the CV, Michael Johnson. I'll click on open. Okay. So it's currently, I'll just wait for this to complete and then I'll do an analysis using the CV I have just uploaded. Okay. So when you upload your CV, what do? You would click on analyze, but because I had a CV there initially, it's analyzing my CV already. So I'll just simply wait and see what result it gives me. And then I'll do a very quick analysis again. And you'd see by how much your CV matches that particular job. Okay. So we'll just wait for a second. And that's the beauty of what CV Matchly does for you. It makes the work a lot easier. It makes it a lot straightforward. And like I said, I'll be giving about 10 people access to CV Matchly for free. Okay. Okay. So this is still going to waste time. I was going to show you something very quickly. You'd see that it has captured the job in the background. Right in the background, it has captured the job summary. So the job summary is in the background. Okay, so it's giving me 55%. Let's go back. I want to show you. So it analyzes the CV. It will show you what's, so this job is with the HMRC, right? It will show you the matched keywords and the missing keywords. Okay, so it did that with the old CV. So I want to use the Michael Johnson CV. Okay, and you'll see that it's automatically captured the job summary for you right in the background. It's captured the job summary. You'd see that right in the background. So you don't need to capture it yourself. It does it automatically for you. And it will do a very quick analysis and show you by how much. So this says 65%. Your CV is below the hiring score. Your CV is what? Below the hiring score. Now, what this means is if I apply to this job with 65%, there are people that would apply with 80%, 90%, 95%. They would get that job ahead of me. I don't want that to happen. So what do? I would say optimize CV. Optimize the CV. So I click on that. When you click on optimize CV, it will show you all the things you need to see. Optimization level, I want it to be moderate. You can also make it very aggressive. And then you want to look at what it has changed. So you can simply, let's use aggressive, for example, and I'll just simply click on what? Generate optimized. And the moment I do that, it will generate a CV for me that matches this job, the person specification, the job requirements itself, the essential requirements, and everything I need to take note of. CV Matchly does it for me automatically. Okay. And you have this embedded in your LMS. So let me show you while CV Matchly is working. I'm going to take you to the dashboard again. And you'd see that if you go to your dashboard, you'd see where you have CV Matchly embedded. But this would be made available to the first 10 people. And I'll be showing you how you can take advantage of having CV Matchly in your LMS and how you can utilize it for job application. Okay, so let's go back to that job. Yeah. Okay. So because I left it stopped, so I'm going to generate the optimized CV. It takes about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes to get this done. And then I'll show you how to get the results. All right. You open up your dashboard, every single job you've applied to, CV Matchly captures it. And this is where some people apply to jobs. They get called for an interview and they don't know the CV they used to apply. They don't know the job they applied to. They don't know the link to the job to even look at the job description. But CV Matchly captures everything for you. Okay, it optimizes the CV. So here it has optimized my CV. So I'll download optimized CV and I would open it up. Okay, so what you see initially, what you had was somebody who had a support worker experience. So one of the things we tell you to do and we advise that you do, which is exactly what all those other professionals did that ensure that they landed the job, is your very first experience would be Tenalytics or Amdari. And that would show that you are currently on that job. Every other experience comes afterwards. Okay. Now, if you look at the core skills, let me bring up that um let me bring up the CV, the one I used and the one that has been optimized. So you'd see the difference, Michael Johnson. So let me bring this up. So you can see ensured compliance, effectively enhance patient care by assisting 10 service users with personal care and so on and so forth. Okay, directed daily routine and so on. Okay, so I'll go back to what has been optimized for me. All right, and I'll see maintained accurate care records and incident logs using documentation systems and Excel. Now, remember, what do they want you to know how to use? If you go back to the job requirements, essential, you'd see where they specifically listed what? Microsoft Excel. So what has simply happened is your CV has now been tailored. Your CV has been tailored to have exactly what the role entails. And what do? I can log in to see the job I've applied to. So when I log in, I'll see the job I just applied to under job application tracker. So this is your CV Matchly dashboard. It shows you all the jobs you've applied to, the links to the jobs, and so on and so forth. And if I click on that, I'll see the most recent job I've applied to. Okay. And it says Projects Support Officer, HMRC, via Civil Service Jobs. If I click on that, it would show me the link to the job. So I can go to the job link anytime. I can see the CV I used to apply, even though I've not applied yet. I can generate my supporting statement by clicking on this link called Generate Cover Letter, and so on and so forth. And this is how I can track every single job that I apply to. It makes my life a lot easier. I don't need to run helter skelter looking for how to, properly save the jobs I've applied to, and so on and so forth. Okay. So all the jobs I've applied to in terms of application optimizations, the interviews that I've gotten, I can see everything in one single swoop. And that's the beauty of CV Matchly. Okay. So I'll go through the STAR approach very quickly for those who have questions around that. Because how do I utilize the STAR approach when applying to jobs? Okay, the person specification, the essential criteria, these are things I should take note of. Because of time, what I'm going to do for you is I'll share a prompt that you can use today. Okay, the prompt, you utilize that with ChatGPT. So once you have your CV, you click on the link to generate your supporting statement. You have two things that you need already. Now you need to start thinking of what the interview would look like. And from the job requirements, you can see that they would assess you based on what? Two major success profiles. And the success profiles they would, assess you with, I'm trying to look for that again, is your behavior. Let's look for it quickly together. The success profiles, because that's very important. Okay. Okay. So you can see the behaviors, even the behavior, you can see what you'll be assessed on. You'll be assessed on delivering at pace and communicating and influence. These are two things you'll be assessed on under your behavior. Okay. And of course, you'd also get to see they would assess your behavior, assess your experience under the success profile. And under behavior, the specific things they want to see is how you can deliver at pace and how you can communicate and influence. Okay. So I'm going to share a script with you that you can use on ChatGPT. I'll share that with you for free after today's session. You'll get that together with my slides. And this helps you understand exactly how to utilize delivering at pace and communicating and influence under behaviors. How do you structure that into your response to them during interviews if you want to prepare for that? Okay. And how do you also ensure that you take into consideration what behaviors fully entail and what experience fully entail? And the script looks like this. Okay, because of time, we can't do it together today. But all you need to do is to have, once you have the script, you can use that on ChatGPT easily. Okay, so I am applying for a UK civil service role and I need help identifying the most important success profile, behaviors, and experience to focus on. Here's the job description. You copy and paste the job description. And when you're copying and pasting the job description, you copy everything right from the top. Okay, right from here, copy every single thing, or you can even start from here about the job. Okay, copy everything from about the job all the way to the bottom. And then what is the grade level? The grade level is what? HEO, Higher Executive Officer. And that's all. Please do the following. Identify the key success profile elements. Highlight the top 3 to 5 behaviors I should prioritize. Based on the job description. Explain why each behavior is important. Suggest the types of examples I should prepare using the STAR method. Highlight keywords and phrases I must include to pass the SIFT. Flag any hidden or implied requirements in the job description. Be specific and practical. Avoid generic advice. Copy this prompt, place it on ChatGPT, copy the job description, paste it here. Make sure you enter the right grade level, and what you'd get back would be magic. That would help you prepare your STAR technique. So when you get questions that look like this, can you give me an example or give an example of when you supported a project by managing risk, issues, and reporting to ensure delivery stayed on track? Can you give an example? Can you tell me about a time? You don't start blabbing. You start with a situation. In my previous role as a project support officer, I supported a cross-functional project aimed at implementing a new reporting system across 3 departments. You are giving context. The project had tight deadlines. I'm highlighting something for you here, okay? The project had what? Tight deadlines and multiple dependencies, with delays already emerging due to unclear ownership of task. What have you done by using this situation? Okay, so they're asking you a question. Give us an example of a time when you supported a project by managing risk, issues, and reporting to ensure delivery stayed on track. And you are saying that in your previous role as a project support officer, I supported a cross-functional project aimed at implementing a new reporting system across 3 departments. The project had tight deadlines and multiple dependencies, with delays already emerging due to unclear ownership of tasks. The fact that you've highlighted the project had tight deadlines and multiple dependencies, you are doing something right there. And what you are doing is showing them that you can deliver at pace. And delivering at pace is one of the things they are also looking out for. Delivering at pace. They want to know you can deliver in tight deadlines. You can deliver under pressure. And this is how you bake these things into your response. And that's why the prompt I'm going to give to you in ChatGPT would give you everything that you need when it comes to showing you behaviors like delivering at pace. You want to show how you are there to tight deadlines, multiple dependencies, and you still deliver irrespective. Okay? So you go to the task. What was your task? Your task was, my responsibility was to strengthen project controls by improving how risk, issues, and dependencies were tracked, while ensuring stakeholders had clear, accurate updates. Stakeholders had clear, accurate updates to support decision making. Here you are showing them that you are communicating. You can communicate effectively and influence by giving the stakeholders the right updates to make decisions. That's exactly what your task is really saying here. The things you needed to do, your responsibilities. And then you move to action. What exactly did you do? I started by reviewing existing project documents and identified gaps in how risk and issues were being recorded. I introduced a structured RAID log to capture risk, issues, actions, and dependencies in a consistent format. And of course, these were the things that you did. And of course, you talk about your results. Okay. And you want to ensure that your results showed that you delivered impact. Utilizing all those behaviors in stakeholder meetings, I communicated key risk and clearly challenged delays. This shows communicating an influence, which is one of the behaviors that they are tracking. All right. To improve visibility, I developed a weekly reporting pack using Excel and PowerPoint. Remember, Excel and PowerPoint are one of the essential tools they have listed here, particularly Excel for tracking and reporting, and PowerPoint for producing project updates. So the prompts I shared with you would give you fantastic clarity on how to utilize those behaviors to bake that into you, how to respond to these questions using the STAR technique, and so on and so forth. You'd be in a one-on-one with me, and I'll prepare you with that, for that interview, using these type of tools, breaking down the role, and you know exactly what to expect when you eventually get into the room, answering questions and interacting with the interviewers. So how do you get started today? For those of you who will be getting started with us, we have an amazing discount. Our next cohort starts on the 9th of May, next week, Saturday, and we are winding down registrations for the May cohort. Okay. The discount today is available for the first 20 people that'll be registering. All right. For any of the programs. Some of you said Agile Project Management, HR Analytics, GRC, Business Analysis, and so on and so forth. But instead of $1,250, you get to pay just $1,000. You get the discount off the first 20 people that'll be registering. And I'll show you how to go about that, how to register and take advantage of the discounts. But to have access to CV Matchly, the tool, only 10 people would have access to that. Okay. And I'll show you how you can get access to CV Matchly for just 10 people here today. So instead of paying $1,250, you get to pay $1,000, and you can break your payments into multiple installments. So instead of paying $1,000 at once, you start with only $200. So you want to join the cohort on the 9th of May, next week, Saturday. $200 is what gets you in, which is roughly about 153 pounds. And I'll show you how to take advantage of that. Okay. I'll walk you through the payment plan, how to select the best payment option, the best plan for yourself, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, 20 people get the discount, but only 10 people would get access for free, 3 months for free to CV Matchly, which means you don't want to bother your head. You've always struggled to tailor your CV. You don't know, it takes you an hour to tailor your CV. Now you can do it in 2 minutes. Now you can do it in 2 minutes. And the moment you optimize, guess what? Your CV is downloaded. I'll show you the optimized CV, the one I downloaded. That's it right there. Okay, so you'd see optimized CV 2. And I simply just open this up. And just like you saw earlier, you get to see the optimized CV. Okay, so you have your optimized CV. You can download it in Microsoft Word. You can make further adjustments and so on and so forth. But you'd see that even though it's showing your work as a carer, it is highlighting specific responsibilities and achievements that are tailored towards project management skills, project officer skills, documented incidents, communicated clearly, monitored, organized. These are keywords for the project support officer role. So the first 10 people who would register, so 20 people would get the discount. Instead of 1,250, you pay just 1,000. You have options for installments of up to 5 months. So only $200 gets you started today. But 10 out of you, the first 10 out of the 20 would not just get the discount, they would also get access to CV Matchly free for 3 months. So what this means is once you start your journey, you learn. Your learning is for 6 months. Your internship is for 2 months. You learn for the first 3 months, the first 4 months. You build all the skills you need. You would have built your portfolio, done all the things you need to do. You would have done your LinkedIn optimization. You start using CV Matchly for free in your job application. So the next 3 months where you have CV Matchly for free, your focus is apply, 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 following all the steps I've shown you today, all the things you need to take into consideration, and so on and so forth. All right. So I'll show you how, for those of you that will be getting started, I'll show you how to get started, how to register. My colleagues will drop the link in the chat as well, so you know exactly how to start. Okay. So let me show you exactly how to get started so that you know exactly what you'd see when you also, commence the process. All right, so I'm just going to put in my password. So once you click on the link my colleagues would share with you, it takes you to this page. All right, it takes you to this page. So you can select any of the programs you're interested in. Today, we looked at non-coding careers. So careers that don't require coding. Data analyst, business analyst, projects, agile project manager, product design, HR analytics, financial analytics, and health tech. There are other programs that require coding. Somebody said they're interested in DevOps, for example. DevOps requires coding. Data science requires coding. Data engineering requires coding. But today, we didn't talk about coding careers. Okay. So if you click on view all courses, it will show you all the courses and the ones you can select. If I'm interested in GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, I come in here, click on enroll. Data analytics, come in here, click on enroll. So we have 20 slots available. And this means the first 20 people to register takes advantage of the discount. So if I click on enroll, I want to register for data analytics, for example. Click on enroll. It takes me to data analytics. I click on enroll and I'll be required to create a profile. Okay. So I'll create a profile, enter my email. So I'm just showing you how you'd register. Okay. So I'll create a profile, enter my email. Enter my phone number. I've read the terms and conditions. So you read the terms and conditions and then you click on sign up. So this creates a profile for you on the learning management system. Okay. And there you can now see when you want to start. Do you want to start in May, next week, Saturday, or do you want to start in June? All right. It doesn't matter the cohort you choose. As long as you're one of the first 20 to register, even if you've chosen June, you get the discount. And you're one of the first 10, you also get access to CB Matchly for free for 3 months. All right. So I want to start immediately. I want to start in May. So I select the May cohort and I can choose different payment plans. So I'm registering from the UK, for example. So I can change the currency from USD dollars to pounds or to euros or to Canadian dollars. I can change the currency from here and I see how much to pay. Okay. Now, instead of $1,250, if I make a one-time payment, I get to pay just 850, which means I would save a total of $400. Fantastic value, fantastic discounts. If I'm making payments in 2 installments, which means I'll make my first payment today, make the next payment next month, I get to pay just 900 instead of 1,250. So I save $350, and it's a 28% off. And I pay in just 2 installments. The most flexible option is to pay in 5 installments, which means I only get to pay $200 today. I start my first class next week, Saturday, and I spread the remaining payments over the next 4 months. Flexible option. Instead of paying $1,250, I get to pay $1,000. And I can change my currency. Say I want to pay in pounds, I click on pounds. So which means I'll make monthly payments of £153 for 5 months. And that's what it takes for me to transform my career, get into a career path that is super high in demand with organizations that are stable, give me the type of jobs that I want, irrespective of where I am. So let's say I've chosen the multiple payments, 5 installments. I'm saving $250, about 191 pounds, which is roughly about $250. So I select that. I come right here. I click on confirm my information is correct. I've read the terms and conditions, and I click on pay. Confirm all my information, and then I click on pay now. Okay, the moment I click on pay now, what happens? I enter my card details. Okay, so enter all the card details, and I'll show you how this works. Full name, Adeza Suleiman. Okay, enter your postcode and click on pay. Now, the moment you click on pay, you'll be required to quickly complete your profile, and this is what gets you into your LMS, the learning management system. You have access to your dashboard. If you're one of the first 10, you'd also see that you have CV Matchly right there. So it's saying your sign up is complete. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So I'd enter my country, gender. I'd enter my phone number. Remember, you'll be required to verify your number. Okay. So also verify your email. So what time do you want your class to start? So I'd prefer that my class starts mountain time. Select my preferred time zone. So 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. if you're in the US. Remember, US, Canada, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you're in the UK, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. Okay, how did you find out about us? Oh, I saw you guys on LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile, you can copy and paste that right here as well. I'd verify my phone number. You get an OTP, and you also verify your email. So I'll just enter my OTP right here. Okay, so verify my email. So I'd also enter the OTP for my email to verify 68682. Okay, and the moment I do this, it takes me to the learning management system. All right. So I click on next. You can upload your picture, for your profile and so on. I click on next, and this takes me to my dashboard. You get a welcome video from us. You complete your onboarding where you get to meet the team, install all the tools, know what your class etiquette is all about, when to join classes, how to ask questions, raise your hand before you ask questions so you don't have a rowdy class, and you take a readiness quiz. When you've done all of that, you get into the learning management system, just like this one. So you'd see welcome back. If your name is Michael, welcome back, Michael. Welcome back, Zainab. Welcome back, Mesoma, and so on and so forth. You'd have access to CV Matchly if you're one of the first 10 people. About 3 people have already taken advantage. The first 3 people that have registered, and I can see that on my dashboard. Okay. So I'm going to take a breather right here, and I'll take questions. I know I promised I was going to play a video for you. I didn't forget. I'll play that video for you. But let's take questions quickly before we call it a day today. Before I play the video as well, I'll take a few questions from you. All right. So 3 people have taken advantage. It's 4 right now. So 4 people have paid. I have 6 more slots for CV Matchly. Okay, so type into the chat. Do you want us to do Q&A, or do you want to watch the video before we do Q&A? Listen to Esther, who got a job last year. I think that was when? July 2025, as a contract project officer with the civil service. If you want to listen to Esther before we go into Q&A, type in a yes. If you want to go into Q&A before listening to Esther, type in a no. If you want to listen to Esther, type in a yes. If you want to go to Q&A, type in a no. Okay, so I got one no, I got one yes. Let's get more very quickly so we get this sorted. Yes, yes, no. Daniel says he wants us to go to Q&A. All right. So let me see. We have more feedback. All right. Quite a number of people are saying yes. Okay. So it's just for about 2.5 minutes for Esther, and then would come back. So it's a 2.5 minute video. And the reason why I want you to listen to Esther is, for so many of you, you were in Esther's situation. All right. You always felt that you needed a whole lot for you to apply to jobs. But Esther needed one mentorship session before she went ahead to apply. Okay. So I want you to listen to her, listen to Esther, and what exactly made the difference for her. Okay. So let's hear what Esther has to say.
Hi, my name is Esther.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me bring Esther right here. I'm not going to start from the beginning because of time. All right. So let's hear from Esther. I'm just going to make this as fast as I can. All right. So let's also increase the speed, but I'm sure you would hear Esther clearly while she speaks. Okay. So Esther, remember, got a job as a contracts project officer with the civil service. Hear what she has to say about her journey. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
On WhatsApp, beyond these classes, when they notice that you are slacking off, they call you on the phone to know, not in the pestering kind of way, but in the loving auntie kind of way. You know, we care about you, we want you to succeed, so how can we help you? How do we meet you halfway? And it's one of the most beautiful thing ever. And they don't make you feel bad. They understand that you are also working. They understand that a lot is going on behind the scene, and they try to make provisions for that. When did I secure the job and got through the analytics play? Now, there was one particular mentorship session that I attended that Daisy gave us like a rundown on how, he entered the data field. And after that session, after that mentorship session, I told myself, Esther, you know what? You're going to have to start applying. You're going to apply like your life depends on it, because it does. So I started applying. At first, I wasn't getting any interviews, but then there was also the LinkedIn optimization session. There was through the LinkedIn optimization session. But beyond this thing, I also did my own research. I started researching on how to, because I'm based in the UK, and personal statement is a big factor in recruitment processes here. So I knew that I have to invest in it. I utilized ChatGPT. I researched about what I was doing. I had to embody the case studies that we do in class as if they were my experience. I had to walk through them. It was studying. 2 months in, I secured an interview, and I remember sending an email to Sophia to say, I have an interview. And what they did, they prepared me like Elizabeth, because I did the agile project and Scrum Master Tech 1, and what they did was to prepare me for this interview. They asked me likely questions, they interrogated me, and at the end of that interview preparation session, I had more clarity on how to structure my answers, on how to answer confidently, on how to use the STAR method of answering interview questions. The first time I didn't get it, but then I knew that I couldn't give up, because I won't give up lose. So it was serious. Each time there is an interview, I come back to them. And one thing about them is that they're never going to push you away, or they're never going to sanction you and tell you, oh, that we have prepared you this a maximum number of times, so you should know what to do. They are not like that. So each time you come, there is always somebody willing to guide you through the process. They are very thorough. That's another thing. They are going to ask you to send them the job description. They are going to ask you to send them the CV that you used. They want to know, and they are going to ask you these questions like the panels are going to ask you. And then at the end, they are going to send you the recording of this interview session and ask you, give you corrections, and ask you to also reach out to them if there is something that you are not understanding. So after tons and tons of interviews and applications, I eventually secured a contract management officer role with civil service, and this job is significant to the path I am on because.
All right, so that's Esther. I can play the video. It's about 8 minutes. She had a lot to say, okay? But again, you have the link on my slide, so you can always go back, listen to what Esther had to say. But if you listen to her carefully, she wasn't applying. And that's simply because she felt that she wasn't prepared. But when I told my story in a mentorship session, that spurred Esther to go ahead to apply. She got so many rejections. She got interviews. And when she got interviews, we prepped her for those interviews. And that's how Esther was able to land her job in about 3 months. Okay. So that's the video I promised I was going to play. We're going to move into Q&A very quickly. And the project management does not have Scrum. It does have Scrum. Alex. Okay, Alex, the project management has Scrum. So the project management is Agile project management. So you have all the details on my slide as well. All the details are on my slide. The Agile project management program has 2 major areas. You can either do the general Agile project management, or you can do the healthcare project management. For those of you that want to work in the NHS, land a job working in healthcare, but in the capacity of a project manager. Okay. Now, Agile in itself is a methodology, because project management has multiple methodologies: waterfall, Agile. And the Agile methodology comprises, one of the frameworks under Agile is Scrum. You also have Kanban. Okay, you have so many other frameworks, but Scrum is one of them. And that's why part of the things you'd learn under Agile project management is what? Foundations of Agile and Scrum. You can see Scrum right there. You'd learn the Scrum framework. You'd learn the Scrum artifacts. You'd learn advanced Scrum and Agile practices. And this is why an Agile project manager can land a job as a Scrum master, as an Agile coach, because you'd also get to learn the Scrum framework. You'd learn the Nexus Skilled Scrum, and we also help you prep for the professional Scrum Master examination. Okay. So, Alex, I hope I answered that question for you. I'm going to take more questions from the chats as well. I need to know so I can register Musa. What do you need to know, Musa? I think I missed the initial question. Let me see. Okay. I think Musa is saying, when looking for jobs, if I did the healthcare data analyst, can I work in another setting? Can I work in another setting, not healthcare related? Absolutely. Yes, you can. Okay. Now, the only thing about the healthcare data analyst program, and let me take you there very quickly. The difference between the normal data analytics program and the healthcare data analyst program is simply the fact that in the healthcare data analytics program, 80% of your projects are healthcare projects. Healthcare. While 20% will be other industries like retail, FMCG, aviation, transportation, and so on. That's why the portfolio I showed you earlier, you'd see that there were other projects there, not just healthcare. Now, the general data analytics program it is 80%. Sorry, I don't know why this keeps erasing. Give me 1 second. So it will be 80% other projects or other sectors and 20% healthcare. So both would have healthcare. So this is 80% healthcare and 20% other sectors. Okay, so if you register for the healthcare data analytics, you'd still get to work on projects in retail, projects in aviation, and so on. But 80% of your project, which means majority of the projects you'd complete, would be healthcare related. You get hospital data, medical data. If you're in the UK, you'd work with hospital records. If you are in Canada, for example, you'd work with different healthcare, data set from Alberta Health Services and so on and so forth. Okay. So, but if you're in the data analytics program, 80% of your projects would be in other sectors, retail, aviation, transportation, logistics, and so on and so forth, while 20% will be healthcare. So either way, you get to work on healthcare related projects. The difference is one takes, a higher number of projects within healthcare while the other is just 20%. But the tools and technologies are the same. You'd both learn problem solving, Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, data storytelling, generative AI for data analytics using ChatGPT and Microsoft Fabric. These are the tools and technologies that you'd learn. And for all the programs, you have 8 months learning timeline, like I shared earlier, 6 months learning in class, and 2 months internship. But what we've seen happen so many times is you don't need to wait until the end before you start applying, just like Esther and so many other people. If time permits me, I'll show you more success stories across other regions in the US, in Canada, in France, Poland, and so on and so forth. Okay. Musa, I hope I answered your question. What percentage of Tenalytics students have these success stories being shown in the session? Sam, what I want you to do, Sam, is apart from when you get my slide, go on YouTube. All right, go on YouTube and do a search for Tenalytics. Search for Tenalytics. Okay. Now, when you search for Tenalytics, click on the logo and you'd see the people that have created videos talking about their success stories. We have an 87% success rate when it comes to landing a job. And the reason why it's not 100% is because it's impossible to control the entire process. All right. So we give you the tools, we show you how to, we prepare you for your interviews, but it's left to you to go in there to get the job. All right. So if you click on Tenalytics alumni and job success stories, you'd see all the people that have created, videos about how they transitioned. Ayomiku transitioned into data analytics. This is a 60-year-old man, okay? Mr. Oladipo. At the age of 60, he moved from the prison service, the civil service in the UK, and he moved to HMRC. Okay, he moved as a business analyst after joining our business analysis program. And you can listen to all these amazing people. We have about 184 videos here for you to watch. All right. So when it comes to helping you land a job, that's what we do. And we do exceptionally well at an amazing rate of 87%. Okay. Amarachi is saying, I have experience as an aviation personnel in Nigeria, healthcare assistant in the UK. Go for so it depends on Amarachi. What program would you like to join? What sector would you like to work in, rather? Okay. If you want to get a job, one of the easiest ways, especially for those that have healthcare experience in the UK today, is to get a job with the NHS. All right. The NHS recruits about has 1,500,000 plus employees. They are one of the largest organizations recruiting for talents in the UK. And we've seen, I'll give you so many examples of people just like yourself, Amarachi. They were healthcare assistants, they were care workers. But today, in fact, Esther was also Esther was a care worker. She worked as a care worker, but today she's with the civil service. All right. And I'll show you just a little bit more. You have Toyin. Toyin was a pharmacist back in Nigeria. She moved to the UK. Today she works with the NHS as a pharmacy data analyst. All right. You have somebody like Ikmat. Ikmat had no experience in healthcare. She moved to the UK for a master's. She did a master's in public health, but while she was doing her master's, she realized that there was no way she was going to get a job as a public health analyst, as a healthcare analyst, because they were not teaching her the things she was seeing in the job requirements from the NHS. So what did she do? She joined our data analytics program. We prepped her for our interviews, multiple interviews. In January 2024, she landed a job with the NHS as an information analyst. You have somebody like Ramat. Ramat was a customer service professional. Today, Ramat is a business architect with the NHS. Okay. And these are amazing professionals that are also currently mentors in our program. So they get to mentor you, you get to interact with them. So what you're trying to achieve today, they've achieved it already. And they're simply just going to hold your hand and walk you through how to do the same thing that they've already done. So Ikmat, for example, if you go to Ikmat's profile, you would also get to see one of the first things you'd see is data analyst with Tenalytics. But today she's with the Sussex Community NHS Foundation Trust. How did she do that? By joining our data analytics program. So at this time, we did not have the health tech program, the healthcare data analytics program, but a lot of our alumni were getting jobs in healthcare. So that's why we designed the healthcare data analytics program to focus on healthcare projects. You also have Ramat. There's so many of them. Okay. We have over 200 plus alumni working in the NHS as data analysts, information analysts. Ramat used to be a customer resolution agent, customer service for British Gas. She joined our business analysis program. Today, she's a business architect with the NHS. Okay, one of the NHS foundations. You have Foundation Trust. You have Mawutin. Mawutin is also a coach. Okay, Mawutin is a pathology data analyst. Pathology data analyst. He was a support worker before. He joined our data analytics program and he got a job with the Southeast NHS Foundation Trust as a pathology data analyst. Mawutin is currently a mentor in our program, our health tech program. You see Mawutin right here. I'm going to show you the last mentorship session that he took, helping other people to navigate how to land a job with the NHS. Okay. I'm going to show you that shortly. Just give me 1 second. So I hope I answered your question. For the lady that asked, what program do I join? I'm a healthcare assistant. Go for the healthcare data analytics program. That's health tech analyst. You get a job a lot faster. Okay, Daniela, you want to stop recording so that the video is not too long. So let me show you the mentorship session that Mawutin took. And this is a session that we bring back experts within the industry. They come back and they help you do the things they have already achieved. Okay. So let's see Mawutin. That's him right there. Okay. So that's Mawutin showing other people how to, in the mentorship that happened this past Thursday, when was that? On the 30th of April, on Thursday, the 30th of April, that was when Mawutin held this session. Okay, so this is somebody who works with the NHS coming back to show you. Okay, he's showing you what the NHS career structure looks like.